It was the remake that was supposed to revive the magic, a modernized fairy tale meant to captivate new generations. And yet, it ended up being Disney's biggest disaster of the last decade. Amid the scandal, when everything seemed to be going up in flames, Megyn Kelly dropped a bomb, a fierce, unfiltered critique that completely shattered the public image of Rachel Zegler, the actress who played Snow White. But what exactly did Megyn Kelly say? Why did the audience applaud her while Disney remained silent? And most importantly, how did a rising star become the most hated villain in the kingdom? While Disney tried to cover up the failure, Megyn Kelly appeared on her show with chilling clarity. No sugarcoating, no political correctness. Rachel Zegler didn't just ruin Snow White, she mocked Disney's legacy and alienated her own fans. In her monologue, Kelly didn't just criticize Ziegler's performance, she condemned her attitude, calling her an arrogant, disconnected actress, toxic to any production, and she said it in front of millions. The audience erupted. Clips of Kelly's remarks went viral, and for the first time, someone with a media voice said what many had been thinking, but no one in Hollywood dared to admit. Chapped. Project had already been shaky, especially after Zegler's early comments calling the 1937 classic outdated and weird. Fans felt the sting, but Disney ignored the warning signs. The premiere was a nightmare. The CGI dwarfs were mocked, the script was criticized for removing the classic romance, and the box office. A graveyard of shattered dreams. Megyn Kelly didn't hesitate to drive the final nail in the coffin. How do you expect the audience to believe the evil queen is jealous of Snow White's beauty if they can't even pretend it on screen? Her sarcasm stung, but it was on point. The audience was no longer buying it, neither the tickets nor the excuses. Kelly went even further, reminding everyone that this wasn't the first time Ziegler had shown contempt. For her own projects, she had already done it with West Side Story, calling her experience not as great as it seemed. Megyn posed a damning question. Who wants to hire an actress who trashes every movie she stars in? The question hit hard. And in Hollywood, where image is everything, Rachel Zegler started being seen as a liability, not a rising star. Producers, directors, and executives quietly began removing her from their future projects. The damage was done, and it was her own words that dug her professional grave. But Megyn Kelly didn't just take down Ziegler, she also exposed Disney. She called out its lack of leadership, its obsession with soulless remakes, and its failure to connect with audiences. "Stop hiring actors who hate the stories they're telling," she said, her tone sharp as a blade. The criticism was so powerful it became a trend. Analysts, YouTubers, and film critics backed her up, because this wasn't just about a movie. It was about a studio that had lost its way. And while Rachel tried to redeem herself with tears and rehearsed speeches, the public had already made up its mind. It wasn't Snow White who had bitten the poisoned apple. It was Disney. After the scandal exploded, Disney's true fans, the ones who grew up with the classics, the ones who still watch these movies with their children, raised their voices like never before. This time, they spoke with nostalgia. This time, they spoke with fury. Thousands took to social media with a clear message. Don't touch what you don't understand. They demanded respect for the original stories, the characters that shaped their childhood, and the magic that Disney seemed determined to destroy. The comments flooded in. I don't care how modern they want Snow White to be, it was always a story about kindness, love, and hope, not contempt, mockery, and superiority. The audience had spoken, and this time, they didn't want a reinvented princess. They wanted the magic back. While Rachel Zegler's name burned across social media, Disney chose silence. No statements, no clarifications, no defense, no criticism, and that was the worst decision they could have made. Megyn Kelly put it bluntly. Disney's silence is a form of complicity. If they won't stand by their actress, why did they choose her? If they won't correct her, what do they really believe in? The lack of an official stance left Rachel exposed and alone. At the same time, it made Disney seem cowardly, directionless, and completely lost. The storm kept growing, and no one had to. The House of Mouse knew how to stop it. What began as just another opinion from Megyn Kelly quickly turned into a major media turning point. News programs, roundtable discussions, and analysts picked up her speech word for word. Even media outlets that usually criticized Kelly acknowledged her clarity this time. Some of the headlines read, "Megyn Kelly puts Disney in its place." "The uncomfortable truth about Rachel Zegler that no one in Hollywood dared to say." An unfiltered critique that reflects public sentiment. For the first time in a long while, a media figure had directly tapped into the audience's frustration. And that was more powerful than any PR campaign. While all this unfolded, Rachel Zegler tried to appear vulnerable. She posted emotional messages, uploaded pictures of herself crying, and even shared philosophical quotes in an attempt to gain sympathy. But it was too late. The audience didn't see a victim. They saw an actress who had mocked her role, her fans, and the story she had been entrusted with. Zegler didn't understand that in the world of fairy tales, a princess cannot look down on those who crowned her, and a condescending smile can never replace the innocence that made her character timeless. Now the mirror no longer tells her she is the fairest of them all. It reminds her of what she lost for failing to respect the magic. Rachel Zegler didn't just lose the support of the public, she also began losing opportunities. Projects that had already been announced quietly fell apart. Scheduled meetings were canceled without explanation. Emails that once brought her offers stopped coming. Insiders claim that studios, once considering Zegler as the face of a new generation, have discreetly removed her from future productions. Her name, once attached to headlines filled with excitement, now sparks only controversy and rejection. And the greatest irony? The very character that was supposed to launch her career to stardom ended up ruining it. But this isn't just about Rachel Zegler, it's about something bigger. The audience is demanding respect, consistency, and authenticity. Most of all, they are demanding something Disney seems to have forgotten: magic. The kind of magic that doesn't need forced messaging or arrogant attitudes to shine. The magic that touches the hearts of those who, generation after generation, have dreamed of castles, enchanted forests, and happily ever afters. Rachel Zegler, unintentionally, has become a symbol of what Hollywood can no longer afford to repeat. What happened with Snow White isn't just the downfall of a movie, it's the beginning of a new era. Snow White didn't fail because of a poorly written script or a questionable aesthetic. It fell for something much deeper, a disconnect from its very essence. And at the heart of that fracture stood Rachel Zegler, an actress who, instead of honoring the legacy she was entrusted with, chose to mock it. Megyn Kelly didn't do anything extraordinary. She simply said out loud what millions were already thinking. And her message hit hard, not because it came from nostalgia, but because it came from common sense. This isn't just the downfall of a movie, nor the misstep of an actress. It's a wake-up call for the entire industry. A reminder that audiences aren't fools, that classic stories endure because they touch something universal, and that anyone who wants to reinvent them must first understand them. Rachel Zegler tried to modernize the magic, but she forgot to respect it. And when a princess loses the love of the people, the story ends. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Rachel Zegler can still redeem herself, or is her career, like the movie, already doomed to its own reflection?